Okay, we'll call this finance meeting to order on the 7th of December. Call it to order at 7:02. And this is mainly to just go over the 2021 budget that we discussed at the last meeting. Hopefully this will be the final budget. Taylor, I guess if you want to go over maybe just what has been changed, or is that how you want to do it?
Sure. First, if you don't mind, we had just a couple requests for the next council meeting that are non-budget, if that's okay.
Okay.
One was, I mentioned this as we were finishing the last meeting. I know Scott and I are interested in doing like a small paperless billing rebate program like you see with ADP and Columbia Gas. Or if you guys have a credit card, a lot of credit card companies do it. Anyway, I wanted to see your guys' thoughts on doing something like if a customer in the city signs up for paperless billing, a $5 one-time credit on their water and sewer bills, we would get that back more than that in a year just in paper and postage. So I did want to toss that out there.
And if you're already signed up for it, do you still get that?
I would think not, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it would be up to you guys in the end on how to craft the program. We currently have 200 customers, 227 as of today on paperless. We have over 2,300 customers, so about 10%. I'd love to see that number closer to 25 or 30. Not just to save money, but to save the city work.
Sounds good. It's something to think about, though. It almost seems like it wouldn't be fair to not give it to the people that already do it.
Correct.
So I guess we'll have to think about it for a little bit, maybe.
Okay. The second thing was we needed to ask council. I got a round number here. I didn't add up the invoices. We have a few sewer plant invoices related to the sewer plant pumps, I think.
Right. So with the project ongoing, we have had 2 more events where we've had to call in extra pumps. It was not foreseen, and in fact, we're in the same scenario as we speak. If we're not able to pump down with what we have by tonight, we'll be in the same scenario again. But it's the last bit of testing that's required for the new sewer lines going in, and we received the invoices, so it's to cover those invoices.
So I've got down 10,000, and the most appropriate I guess it's not necessarily a repair, but it certainly could be maintenance of equipment in the sewer fund for the sewer plant, excuse me. And that's line item 750, 760, 600, 12. If you guys didn't have any objections.
I do not. Corey, Dan?
I'm good.
I'm good.
When are those guys going to be done down on Walnut Street?
You mean Chestnut?
Or Chestnut, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Chestnut, they're waiting on the signs to arrive to open up the road one way. And of course, it's not going to be finished this year. It'll be finished next year in springtime with the final bit of asphalt. They also have some different repairs that they need to make to sidewalks and curbs down through there. Sorry, I was drawing a blank. And we're actually going to have a meeting about that next week. Ideally, they're out of town until springtime. The contractor believes that they'll be out of town by the end of next week. I've talked to our engineer, and if they're out by Christmas, we'll be happy campers.
Yeah, they've been saying that every week. Oh, we'll be out next week. We'll be out next week.
Correct. They have busted their own timeline multiple times. So that's why I caveated with it. If they're out by Christmas, that'll be good. So the good news is that they did switch on the new lift station. So the new big lift station is what's going to pump everything from where the old sewer plant is now to the new sewer plant. and they just switched that on today. And so that's some good news. So that's why we need to pump it down one more time, the system, to make those final connections between the old plant and the new lift station.
Okay.
The last 2020 related item I had down, I didn't get a chance to ask Scott if he had anything, so he may, anything else, was line item cleanup. So I talked with Mr. Hunter today. In the past, Auditor Powell and Dickerson used a end of year cleanup ordinance that basically authorizes the auditor to zero out all line items. These are things like the police department's a good example. We have which we talked about with you guys before, the OPERS line item ran negative because none was budgeted, but we had new officers who were on OPERS while they were qualifying for police and fire pension. And those are really bills that we can't deny paying because they're payroll related. So anyway, we have some line items that are negative. However, the state audit team doesn't believe that ordinance is within the bounds of the law anymore. So I talked with Gary Hunter about a solution that essentially would involve an appropriations ordinance, but he said to maybe save time for you guys, we would give you like an exhibit, and it would say, we're going to adjust the final end of year on December 31st, these negative line items to positive, and then they'll be listed in the amounts that they need to change. That would save Susan a ton of reading, because out of the like 3,000 line items or 2,000, I'd say at least 50 maybe have run, some of them as little as a few dollars negative, but we can't end the year negative in those line items any longer. That used to be the case 10 years ago. They could do that, but you can't anymore. So unless you guys have any objections, you guys will see that. It'll just basically be an appropriation ordinance that will close the year out instead of the end of year ordinance that used to be what we called our bookkeeping end of year resolution.
So what will be the difference, just the way it's worded?
Yeah, it'll be the legal structure under it. Councils aren't allowed to authorize the auditor to just change everything at the end of the year any longer. Gary told me it used to be a while ago. They used to be okay with that, but the state law has changed on it. That's what, I don't know if you guys remember, around Christmas every year, the auditors for the last 7 or 8 years would bring forward ordinance that says all line items that are not zero are now zero, starting on December 31st. Last year, the audit team actually gave me heck about that ordinance. So for the last month or so, Mr. Hunter and I have been trying to figure out a solution. And we think that's probably the best way to get around it. It's also partly an issue where we have a whole new administration working with a budget that was drawn up by the prior administration. So there's just a few hiccups like that. Like I said, about 50 line items that, some of them, I think one of them is like 17 cents negative.
Yeah, I'm sure the city probably has to do that, don't they?
Yeah, end of year cleanup is pretty much universal. Unless you're thinking like maybe real small villages might not have to, but any place with any size does.
Sounds good to me. Corey, Dan, what do you guys think?
Yep.
Okay, that's all I have 2020 related. The 2021 budget hasn't adjusted too much from our last meeting, mostly because we were out sick. We already discussed last time that truck payment would change to cruiser payment, which is in here. The uniforms, the uniform allowances for the fire department have, I believe, been updated for current status of employees, which it looks like they are. So there was a few slight changes there. That's on page 2. And I believe in water and sewer, there are a few utility line items that are running short this year. So we have a few utility line items that at least I moved up for suggested levels because they were, say, 15,000, but they've run out before the end of the year, so I figured 16,000. But all grand total, the changes since last meeting probably total less than $3,000 or $4,000 to the whole thing. So it's pretty similar, almost identical. I don't know. One thing I am unsure about is if there were any missed requests for adjustments. I know Scott got sick shortly after the last one, and I got sick like the next day. So any requests you guys might have made, we may have missed, but we can certainly get in before the next council meeting.
So where did we end up putting the paving that we might do in the potholes? Where did we end up putting that? What line items? I think you said you was like moving it maybe to street construction or something.
Yes, sorry while I flip here. Part of that will be on page 8 under the 200 fund. It's 200, 150, 80,009, and it's called road repairs. And that's the lion's share, about 140,000. And then there's also a spot.
So is that combined paving and potholes, or are they separate?
They're put together because well, we were just trying to simplify since paving was coming out of like 6 different spots, and we tried to simplify it down to 2. The second part is page 10. It says road repair as well, 40,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I thought it might also be, advantageous for Scott. I mean, if the road project comes up and we're paving and then we find out we have to fix the handicap ramp or something, that money could also still be used, whereas it's a little stickier if it says strictly pavement. In general, a road project can become a lot more than just pavement, just with how old our infrastructure is. So I just thought the flexibility might help.
For example, I'm hoping to repair small chunks of the curb going down Canal Street. Probably the worst part that I can think of off the top of my head is across from Blackbird, there by People's Bank. So, doing little sections at a time.
Right, and there's also a steel plate there on the sidewalk of Chestnut and that cross street there going out, is it Boulevard. So the steel plate's been there forever. I don't know, don't know why it was there. It's just been there for years.
I'm not familiar. I have to go out and look at it.
Yeah, it's right there on the corner.
What's it, covering a hole or something?
Yeah, I think so. It's a steel plate. It's probably was at one time a utility access, but they just stuck a steel plate on it and kind of left it.
Yeah. No, I'll figure that out sooner than later. Wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick statement here that today's December 7th and anniversary of Pearl Harbor there, and I'd like to thank all the men and women out there that do our armed services and help keep our freedom, and remember the ones that gave their life in the line at Pearl Harbor. So just wanted to send that out real quick. Mr. Barber, you got a question?
Yeah, I was actually just typing it up in the chat. I need to address the part-time uniforms. Everything looks right on the budget. There is an error or maybe an oversight in part-time uniforms. There are 13 part-time positions. Each part-time position has a $300 uniform allowance yearly, and Taylor probably got confused because I have some open positions right now, and I've got some provisional positions. So we just need to make sure that under part-time fire, or I mean under uniform, where it has my full-time listed at 600, then my part-time listed at 300, we still need to have the numbers there added for those 4 positions. So the 4 positions are there under the name, but the monetary amount is not there. So I think that that might be a $1,200 error, or maybe we just need to add $1,200 to the budget to cover those 4 positions. And Taylor might.
And I count here 12. So are we missing one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's Mitchell below it. Yeah, that was just a mistake when I was typing. That's my fault. So I can make sure that they're included.
Yeah. So the nine. There's 9 slots there for 300. There needs to be 13.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I included the names, but not the.
Yeah, everything else is fine. I just went through it all, and everything looks good. That's all I had.
And I think as far as Carla, any other changes, I mean, we haven't had any since 2 weeks ago. We haven't had any new information on any revenue changes or expense requirements. With so many projects going on, there's a lot of changes in our payments and who we're making the payments to really rapidly. And I think this budget captured it all. I'm about 90% sure. Scott and I went through it once, but I mean, us getting sick and being out the last couple of weeks kind of messed up our review process. But I think it's pretty close. Other than that, we haven't really made any changes since the last meeting, other than those mentioned.
So is it safe to say that we're ready to send this particular budget to council for at least a 6-month approval?
I think it's 3 months, isn't it,
For
Shayla?
3 months?
Yeah, be the
Yeah.
first quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first quarter, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good to me.
Yeah, I feel confident that we're at that place. I didn't know if you guys had other major requests or changes. If not, then I think we're pretty much there.
No, I think I addressed everything last time. I mean, I think we went over everything that I had concerns about.
I would like to share with finance we received another check for CARES money for $26,000. Just wanted to give you a heads up that we're using that to pay to install a lot of the other things that we bought. For example, PD got lockers, and then the furniture that PD had, we're paying an electrician now to install the electric, and then we're also paying to have the lockers installed. And just wrapping up a couple other little projects. We had the other one, the drop box out here for the auditor's office. So I just wanted to share with everyone that we did get another check, and we have to have it executed, completely done by the end of this month. And we are going after tackling a bunch of little loose ends that we were willing to accept the risk of not having them put in as doing them ourselves whenever we can get to it. But since the other money came, we're getting it all put in correctly and right away. The other thing that I'm looking at is potentially a bulk water meter service where folks could purchase bulk water and they would be able to pay it at the source, so they wouldn't have to come into a water office, or it just reduce that contact on that side. More to follow on that, and hopefully by the meeting I'll have a better update. But that's just something that we're playing around with now.
That reminds me, Scott and the committee, that to finish executing the CARES Act, as far as paying the bills and finishing it out before the end of the year, we will have to appropriate that money as an unanticipated receipt at Monday's meeting. So you'll probably see that on an appropriation as well.
Oh, we have that. We have the two insurance checks.
Oh yeah, we did. Oh yes, so we got the insurance checks for the pool fence and a grant, right?
So PEP offers a safety grant up to $1,000. So we submitted a grant for fall protection at the playground. So we were awarded that $1,000. We can also apply for that again right after the first of the year. And I'd like to apply for the second $1,000 to get the rubber matting to go underneath playground equipment next to Nelson Commons, rather. So it was very nice, easy cash to get out of those folks.
Something I just thought of, I don't know if we have to have it in the budget or if we already do have it. The trash contract that Corey had been talking about, is that already in the budget?
Well, I'm not sure I understand. I might need more context. I'm sorry.
Where we was getting bids or something to redo the trash with Rumpke or someone else, is that already budgeted? Do we have the quotes yet or anything?
No, so Gary finished up the spec sheet, and I believe he sent it out over the weekend. And I haven't got through that email yet, so I don't know what the next step is, but I can chat with him and find out. But I don't know that necessarily plays into the budget. I'm not sure. Do we have the expense?
We may, I can't remember off the top of my head. We may pay for these dumpsters. Do we pay for these dumpsters out here?
I thought these dumpsters were free. One of the things, I think she knows what she's talking about. So one of the things that was asked was, do we want to continue emptying the recycle bins twice a week? So right now, for the rest of this month, the Hawking empties at once, and then Rumpke empties it the second time a week. At the end of this month, that goes away, and it'll just be Rumpke again, and we anticipate that'll a lot of trash will build up outside. So the question was, if we want Rumpke to do that service for us and do it twice a week, I believe it was $1,200 a month. But I have to go back and check my notes. I'm sorry, I don't have that figure right in front of me. It's not figured in here as far as if that's something that we want to do for the next couple months, and then definitely not figured into the budget in terms of 2021.
So is that just something we could do later, or do we have to do that now?
No, so we can't do it now because it's not even been put out to bid yet. It's, our trash contract isn't due until, I think, April, if I'm not mistaken. Corey, correct?
Correct.
And, yeah, and then, then we'll have a full bid so we can add it to our second quarter budget.
Well, I meant the 12 or what did he say, $1,200 or $1,500 for, what is it, January, February, and March, or?
Right. It's 12 months.
Well, we're going to pay for that anyhow because we're already under contract till April.
Well, no. Actually, that's a separate expense. So
Yeah, that's being picked up by Mr. Bale currently, I believe.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So
That's
I
gonna
know.
stop at the end of the month, isn't it?
Right, that's at the end of the month. I've already asked Mr. Smith for a utility meeting, so he said he'll be announcing that at the next council meeting, and that's one of the topics of discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Personally, I'd be for just removing those dumpsters, and I think with the new trash contract anyway, most people are probably going to end up going to curbside. I think it ultimately is going to be better for the city that way. I like the concept of having those dumpsters there for folks that want to drive over and put it, but they're more of a nuisance than, actually benefit to the city right now.
I agree. But they look horrible out there at City Hall. Just, and we do have people coming from out of town dumping their garbage or recyclables in there. But it does just look horrendous out there at City Hall. So I'd be for getting rid of it as well.
And I just want to state that there's no comments from any citizens yet, Carla, so you're in the clear.
Okay.
Okay. I do have a question, non-related to next year's budget. Have we gone back to the city attorney about the recodification of the what was it? All the ordinances.
Right.
Is that literally the cost of printing out some binders and a CD? Is that really what it's coming down to?
I haven't spoke to him to see exactly what he is.
Not me, by the way.
I wish I had a better answer for you. Taylor and I were just talking about that earlier this evening, and I don't know exactly what we get for $15,000.
Okay, I just think 15,000 seems awfully high. I understand we do it every 5 years, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's every 5 years. But it just seems like an awful, especially with the day and age of technology that we're in now, it just seems like an awful large expense to me. So yeah, I would definitely want to have more discussion on that.
Yeah, I just did some very basic rough math. That'd be like 100 hours worth of work at that cost, and I just don't know what we get. So I need to get smarter on that.
Okay. Anything else on anyone else? And Harry just said he had to leave. You guys have anything else?
No, I believe we mainly just had it to go over the budget. I mean, unless you guys have anything else.
So we're all good to go ahead and send it to council at our next meeting for a 3-month approval?
I am.
Corey?
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, I felt pretty comfortable after the last meeting. I haven't had a chance to go over any of the changes, from the last meeting, but
I don't think there was many.
there weren't, I don't think. But I think ultimately, I think we're going to be in a better, position starting the new year. I'd still be err on the side of cautious, I think, for this first quarter anyway, because this is going to be our first real quarter. So I want to make sure that we're not, biting off more than we can chew. But I do have full confidence in Scott and Taylor and those teams. So as long as they continue to fire on all pistons like they are now, I'm very comfortable about next year, and I'm excited actually, because I think it's going to be a good year for us. So,
Well, I'd just like to remember too. I mean, I know this is just for the first quarter, so we're leaving it as is. But we also want to think when we redo it about doing the 90-10, just because we can't let the capital improvement get too low just for emergencies. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head.
Agreed.
good.
The one thing I'll say about process is when this gets brought forward, you guys will see it as it's called a temporary budget. So I wanted to head off that question. It would be called temporary, is the language it's required to have. It'll be for the first quarter, like you said. Some of these line items won't be split exactly in fourths. It won't be one quarter exactly, because some of them are one-time payments. So like we pay some of our loans all in January. So those line items will be in full. They won't be 1/4, if that makes sense. But most everything else will be split into a fourth.
Which makes sense. It's going to make our first quarter budget look actually over budget.
Which we always have.
Yep. Yeah, on January 1st, I think alone we have 200 and some thousand come out for loans. So it definitely looks that way. And then after the county approves well, technically what the county's approving is my revenue projections, but they look at the expenses too for a full year's budget. they will issue an approval within the first few weeks of January, and then you guys can pass a permanent. You won't have to wait till March, I guess is what I'm saying. You should just take 2 or 3 weeks from the county, and then we can move forward for a permanent budget for the year.
Okay, we all good?
I believe so. Scott, you have anything?
No, ma'am, and I'm looking, there's no comments out here either.
Is anybody watching?
I don't know about that.
So it's just us all alone. Okay.
There's lots of shit in town right now.
I can always make a comment and then see if anybody chimes in.
Okay, well, if no one else has any more questions, I mean, we can be done.
All righty.
We're good. All righty, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:33. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Sign
Good
off.
night.